What's going on, Bills Mafia? The wait is over. It's time to dive headfirst into the 2025 Buffalo Bills offensive stat projections. And if you're anything like me, you've been itching to figure out what this team's attack is really going to look like heading into this brand new season. There's no shortage of hype, no shortage of continuity, and, let's be honest, no shortage of expectations either. After all, we're talking about an offense that was already elite last year, and yet, somehow, it feels like they're just scratching the surface of what they can become. So buckle up, because we're about to break it all down. Josh Allen, the receivers, the run game, the play calling, it's all on the table. Now, before we get into the nitty-gritty numbers, let's talk big picture. Let's set the stage, because this year feels different. Not in a chaotic, who even knows what we have kind of way like last season did, but different in the sense of stability, clarity, and familiarity. 1 year ago, this team was dealing with wholesale changes. Joe Brady had just stepped in as full-time offensive coordinator. Ronald Curry was still in his first year coaching Josh Allen. The offensive line was shifting with Connor McGovern sliding over to center and David Edwards filling in a guard. The wide receiver room was a complete overhaul. No Stephon Diggs, no Gabe Davis, and Shakir was the lone returning presence from the year before. Josh was basically throwing to strangers. Fast forward to now, and suddenly you've got a very different narrative. This year, the core is in place. The system is stable. The same coaching staff. The same protection. The same quarterback. And now that Allen actually has reps under his belt with the key weapons around him, we're stepping into a season where chemistry isn't a question mark. It's a strength. You're integrating Josh Palmer. You're seeing how Elijah Moore might fit in. But that's about it. There's no overhaul, no instability. And that kind of consistency gives me confidence that what we saw in flashes last year could evolve into a more complete and dangerous offense in 2025. So when I sat down to project what this offense could look like, I started from the ground up. How many plays will this unit run? Last season, they ran 1,025 plays. This year, I think that number goes up. I'm predicting 1,061 total offensive plays. That's an increase of 36 plays, a modest jump, but one that reflects the improved third down efficiency and deeper chemistry across the board. And here's how I think that splits: 561 pass attempts and 500 run attempts. That's a slight uptick from last year's 534 passes and 491 runs. But it reflects the kind of balanced attack this team is aiming for under Joe Brady. It also reflects confidence that Josh Allen can thrive with a little more on his shoulders. More plays, more throws, more production. And speaking of Josh Allen, let's get into the meat of this thing, his 2025 stat projection. Based on the play volume and pass attempt estimate, I'm projecting Allen to attempt 561 passes and complete 372 of them. That gives him a completion percentage of 66.3%. That would be an improvement over last season's 63.5%, and more in line with what we saw from him in 2023. Not quite the 70% mark he hit back in 2020, but this would be his second highest completion rate ever. And it makes sense. With better chemistry, fewer unknowns at wide receiver, and a more stable offensive line, Allen should be able to find his rhythm and hit more of those high-percentage throws. From a yardage standpoint, I'm projecting 4,250 passing yards. That breaks down to about 7.6 yards per attempt, slightly lower than last year's mark, but right in line with his 2022 season. What does that tell us? It tells us that while Josh will push the ball down the field more efficiently, he might also lean into smart, methodical drives. Less chaos, more control. Touchdowns? I've got him at 33. That's just about 5.9% of his total throws, which lines up almost perfectly with his career averages. If you look at his touchdown rate over the years, it hovers in that 5 to 6% range pretty consistently. So 33 passing touchdowns feels like a safe and realistic bet. Now, as much as we all want to see Josh take care of the football, and he did a phenomenal job last year, throwing just 6 interceptions, I do think we'll see a slight bump in picks. I'm projecting 10 interceptions in 2025. That's a 1.7% interception rate. Still very low, still very controlled, but a little closer to the norm. That 6-interception season last year might just end up being a career low, so don't be surprised if that number creeps up just a bit. So let's round it all up for Josh Allen. 561 attempts, 372 completions, 66.3% completion rate for 1,250 yards, 33 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. That's an MVP caliber season. Again, and when you look at how those numbers would have stacked up across the league last year, we're talking top 8 in pass attempts, top 7 in completions, top 6 in yards and touchdowns. That's elite company. And that's before we even factor in what he brings to the table as a runner. And let me just say this, while I'm not expecting a major explosion in raw stats, I'm expecting more efficiency, better execution, and a version of Josh Allen that is just as dangerous, but more in control. A more mature quarterback, a more seasoned field general. But of course, none of this happens in a vacuum. Josh Allen doesn't throw for over 4,000 yards without reliable weapons. So let's shift focus and talk about where those 33 touchdowns and 4,250 yards are going. Because the distribution of targets and production is arguably just as interesting as the quarterback himself. Let's start with who I think will lead the team in targets, Khalil Shakir. I've got him pegged at 100 targets, which is right about where he landed last year. I think he'll bring in 70 catches for 775 yards and 5 touchdowns. Shakir is the kind of guy who doesn't need to dominate every snap to make a consistent impact. He's steady, reliable, and has Josh's trust. But here's the thing. This year, he doesn't need to be the security blanket every single drive. Because the Bills have more weapons. They have more options. And that means defenses can't zero in on him the way they might have last year. Now, Dalton Kincaid is going to have a major role in this offense as well. I'm projecting 95 targets for him, with 64 receptions, 705 yards, and 7 touchdowns. This is the kind of production you expect from a first-round tight end in year 2. And I honestly believe Kincaid will be a red zone menace this season. I think Josh missed him on a few would-be touchdowns last year, but that won't be the case this time around. They're in sync now, and when they're on the same page, good luck stopping it. Next up, Keon Coleman. This is the guy I think leads the team in receiving yards, even if he doesn't lead in targets. I got him with 85 targets, 55 catches, 805 yards, and 7 touchdowns. That's nearly 15 yards per catch. And it makes sense. Coleman is a big play threat. He's not going to be the most efficient guy, and his catch rate might be a little lower than you'd like. But his ability to stretch the field and win contested balls down the sideline is going to make him one of the most exciting weapons in this offense. And let's not forget about Josh Palmer. In year 1 with the Bills, I think he becomes a steady, reliable target for Allen. I'm projecting 80 targets, 54 catches, 700 yards, and 5 touchdowns. Solid numbers, especially for a player just getting settled in with a new quarterback and system. Palmer doesn't need to blow the roof off the building. He just needs to be consistent. And I think that's exactly what he'll bring. So that's your big 4 right there. Shakir, Kincaid, Coleman, and Palmer. I believe those are going to be the core pieces of this passing attack. Each one brings something unique to the table. And the beauty of this setup is that defenses won't be able to focus on any one of them. If you try to take away Coleman deep, Kincaid will eat underneath. If you key in on Shakir, Palmer will burn you with route precision. That kind of balance is what makes an offense truly dangerous. Now, while the top 4 targets in this offense are clearly defined, there's still a long list of guys who will be asked to contribute in complementary roles. Because we know that in a long NFL season, depth matters. Players get banged up. Game plans shift. Matchups change. And in those moments, it's the secondary and tertiary weapons that can make the difference between a win and a loss. And in this 2025 Bills offense, those secondary pieces aren't just afterthoughts. They're calculated, strategic role players who can make an impact when called upon. Let's start with James Cook, because even though he's primarily known for his work on the ground, he's quietly become a pretty reliable piece in the passing game. I got Cook down for 42 targets, 31 receptions, 300 yards, and 2 touchdowns through the air. It's not flashy, but it's effective. He's the kind of player who can move the chains on 3rd down, sneak into space on play action, and turn a check down into a 15-yard gain. And while Cook has the skill set to produce even more in the receiving game, I think his workload will be managed intentionally. The Bills want to preserve him over the long haul, and they know they've got other backs to share the load. That brings us to Curtis Samuel. And I'll be honest, projecting his role is tricky. The talent is there. The versatility is there. But the volume? I'm not expecting much. I've got him with 35 targets, 22 catches, 220 yards, and 1 touchdown. That's about 2 targets per game. So it's not like he's going to be a major focal point, but I do think he'll have moments. A gadget play here, a jet sweep there, maybe a red zone design that gets him open. He'll have splash plays, but not consistent usage. And I know the contract might suggest otherwise, but when you look at how crowded this offense already is, the reality is there's just not a ton of volume left over. Then there's Dawson Knox. And look, it's pretty clear at this point that Dalton Kincaid is the #1 tight end in this offense when it comes to receiving responsibilities. But that doesn't mean Knox disappears. I got him at 30 targets, 20 catches, 200 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Not that far off from where he was last season. And what he brings to the field is something that doesn't always show up in the stat sheet. Blocking, toughness, red zone presence. He's not going to light up fantasy football leaderboards, but he'll have his moments. He'll show up when it matters. Now Ty Johnson is a player I think the staff trusts more than people realize. I have him down for 28 targets, 20 receptions, 190 yards, and 1 touchdown as a receiver. And on top of that, he's going to be involved in pass protection, special teams, and maybe even some key third down situations. He's not flashy, but he's reliable. And in a backfield that wants to stay fresh and stay balanced, Johnson is going to be a sneaky important piece. Elijah Moore, though, is where things get a little cloudy. He's a talented player. He's had his flashes. But when I look at how this depth chart is shaping up, it's hard to find a path to consistent playing time for him unless there are injuries. I've got him with just 20 targets, 11 receptions, 115 yards, and no touchdowns. And the truth is, unless the Bills go really heavy into 4 wide sets or someone in the main rotation goes down, Moore might be inactive more often than not. He's the kind of player you like to have as an insurance policy, but I wouldn't count on him being a week-to-week contributor unless something changes dramatically. Ray Davis is another name to keep in mind. As the presumed RB2, I have him projected for 20 targets, 15 catches, 140 yards, and 2 touchdowns through the air. That's a solid contribution for a second-year back. He's got strong hands, he's reliable in space, and he's tough to bring down. Davis might not get a high volume of touches, but when he does, he'll be efficient. Tyrell Shavers rounds out the receiver room for me with 10 targets, 5 receptions, 60 yards, and a touchdown. That might seem low, but we're talking about the 13th option in the passing game. Most teams WR6 or WR7 aren't cracking triple digits in yardage either. His role will likely be special teams, some reps in garbage time, or filling in during injury absences. That's not a knock. It's just the nature of depth roles in the NFL. That's what continuity gives you. That's what trust between a quarterback and his receivers gives you. That's what a coaching staff in year 2 of their system gives you. It doesn't guarantee success, but it gives you a foundation. And in the NFL, that foundation is everything. Before we dive back in, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest Buffalo Bills updates straight to your screen. And hey, don't hold back. Let us know your thoughts on today's news down in the comments. Whispers have been circulating through the NFL community, and now the rumor mill has seemingly found its epicenter in Buffalo, where sources suggest that cornerback Sauce Gardner has agreed to a 3-year deal with the Bills, a development that has left fans and analysts buzzing with speculation. Gardner, who has been widely regarded as one of the premier defensive talents in the league since his rookie season, has sparked a wave of conversation about the potential transformation of the Bills' secondary, with insiders hinting that his presence could immediately elevate the team's defensive schemes to a level previously thought unattainable. While official confirmation remains elusive, the chatter across social media platforms, insider forums, and sports talk radio has been relentless, painting a picture of a franchise that is quietly positioning itself for a dominant run in the coming seasons. Observers are dissecting every possible implication, from salary cap maneuvering to shifts in defensive play calling, and even the potential ripple effects on the chemistry of the locker room. Conversations around Gardner's impact are not limited to Buffalo. League-wide, the move is generating debate about how opponents will adjust their offensive strategies to counteract the sudden reinforcement in the Bills' secondary, creating a swirl of theories and projections that has captivated the football world and kept analysts glued to every emerging detail, rumor, and potential confirmation. The speculation surrounding Sauce Gardner's rumored signing extends far beyond the realm of Buffalo, with pundits suggesting that this acquisition could redefine the AFC landscape in ways that few anticipated. According to whispers circulating in elite football circles, Gardner's integration into the Bills' defensive backfield could create a domino effect on both sides of the ball, influencing not only defensive matchups, but also the offensive game plans of opponents who may now have to contend with a more formidable pass defense. Conversations among insiders hint that Gardner's presence might allow Buffalo to employ more aggressive blitz schemes, knowing that a shutdown corner is capable of neutralizing key receivers without excessive safety support. Even among casual fans, speculation is rampant, with social media threads overflowing with hypothetical scenarios about Gardner's debut games, potential interceptions, and critical plays that could shift momentum in high-stakes matchups. Analysts are dissecting every detail of his play style, from his exceptional coverage instincts to his ability to read quarterbacks and anticipate routes, drawing parallels to legendary defenders while weighing the immediate and long-term impact on Buffalo's defensive identity. Meanwhile, rival teams are reportedly taking notes, with whispers suggesting that scouting departments are reevaluating their offensive priorities in anticipation of Gardner's rumored presence, fueling a buzz that extends far beyond Buffalo and into the wider NFL ecosystem, making this signing one of the most talked-about potential moves in recent memory, with endless debates on podcasts, sports shows, and fan forums about the magnitude of its potential influence. Amid the swirling rumors, speculation about the financial and contractual implications of Gardner's rumored 3-year deal with the Bills has sparked nearly as much conversation as the player's on-field impact, with insiders hinting that careful cap management will be required to ensure the team can maximize its flexibility in other areas. Sources close to the situation suggest that negotiations likely involve complex discussions regarding guaranteed money, performance incentives, and potential renegotiations tied to future roster moves, making the rumored deal a focal point for debates about how teams construct competitive rosters under salary cap constraints. Sports journalists and commentators have been dissecting these financial aspects extensively, suggesting that a 3-year commitment, if true, could signal the Bills' intent to not only retain elite talent, but also establish a long-term defensive identity around Gardner's presence. Additionally, conversations in analytical circles speculate that his signing might influence the drafting strategies and free agent decisions in subsequent seasons, as Buffalo could leverage Gardner's rumored presence to attract complementary players who thrive alongside a shutdown cornerback. This has triggered endless discussion among fans who ponder how this move could alter the perception of Buffalo as a destination for top talent, potentially reshaping the franchise's image in the eyes of players, agents, and rival teams. Analysts argue that the ripple effects could extend even further, affecting negotiations league-wide and potentially shifting the balance of power in the AFC, as teams attempt to counteract Buffalo's rumored acquisition by bolstering their own secondary units, illustrating how a single high-profile move, even in its speculative phase, can generate waves that reverberate across the entire NFL ecosystem, providing endless fodder for debate, conjecture, and anticipation. Even beyond the technical and financial ramifications, the rumored arrival of Sauce Gardner in Buffalo has ignited a storm of speculation regarding the cultural and psychological impact on the team, with insiders suggesting that Gardner's competitive edge, confidence, and charisma could reshape locker room dynamics in subtle but significant ways. Rumors circulating among former players and coaches imply that his presence might inspire younger teammates to elevate their performance, creating a culture of accountability and excellence that permeates both practice sessions and game day preparations. Fans and pundits alike are constructing elaborate narratives about Gardner's potential leadership style, envisioning him as a quiet force capable of motivating veterans while mentoring rookies, thereby fostering cohesion within a roster already known for its talent and ambition. Online forums are overflowing with conjecture about how the rumored signing could influence head coach strategies, defensive play calling, and even the interpersonal dynamics among key players, as insiders highlight Gardner's ability to command attention and respect through both skill and demeanor. Discussions extend into the realm of media portrayal as well, with speculation suggesting that his presence could shift the narrative surrounding Buffalo's identity, positioning the team as a fortress for elite defensive talent and as a serious contender for deep playoff runs. These swirling rumors, blending analysis with conjecture, suggest that Gardner's potential impact transcends mere statistics, permeating the culture and psyche of a team already on the rise, and fueling ongoing speculation about how a single addition could catalyze transformation across multiple facets of the organization, creating a story that continues to capture the imagination of the league, fans, and analysts alike. That's a wrap for now. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay on top of all things Buffalo Bills, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. We'd love to hear what you think in the comments. See you in the next update.